Hey everybody, Deplorable Bobby here, and this is the way I see it. I want to start off this show today by thanking my subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you. But before I get started on this video, I have to give some shout outs. People, if you're looking at me, I want you to go check out the Chrissy Ann Show. She's really good. You ought to check her out. She's trying to grow, and she deserves it. Forbidden Information is another site that I ask you to go see. Michelle at Forbidden Information is one of the most dedicated people I have ever come across when it comes to the pro-life issue. She just went to Albany, New York this week and for a pro-life rally, and she put out some really good videos. You need to go see Michelle at Forbidden Information. As a favor to me, go check out these people. Chrissy Ann Show and Forbidden Information. But before I go, I have to give two more shout outs. And one is to Tony Patriot. Tony Patriot comes on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock. If you're not subscribed to him, if you don't know who he is, check him out. Support him, subscribe, help his channel grow. And Disabled Vets Perspective. I'd like you to check him out. He comes live on Sunday nights at 7 p.m., him and Belinda. And they have a really informative show. So if you're a veteran, or if you have a loved one that's a veteran, you need to watch this live stream on Sunday nights with Alex and Belinda at Disabled Vets Perspective. I want to talk a little bit today about abortion, and if I have time, I want to talk a little bit about Iran. But something really gets my goat, people, and here it is. All right, Tuesday, the state of Missouri issued subpoenas to staffers, contractors, and former medical residents who work for Planned Parenthood and their St. Louis facility. The issue is a lawsuit preemptively filed by Planned Parenthood last week in an attempt to ensure that the abortion services in St. Louis will continue. The State Department refused to renew Planned Parenthood's license over concerns with many failed abortions. Many failed abortions. Agency officials wanted to interview 7 doctors who were employed at the clinic. Planned Parenthood said that 2 doctors agreed to the interview, but the other 5 doctors were contractors and they would not be interviewed. Attorneys for the state wrote, grave questions remain unaddressed because these doctors who provided relevant care to these babies in a failed abortion have refused to be interviewed. Now, you would think, since there's only one abortion facility in St. Louis, that this facility should be able to hire the best doctors. But St. Louis had so many failed abortions that it's evident that these doctors were far from educated or experienced. I have a couple of questions, and one of them is were these contractors actually doctors? Or were they PAs, physician's assistants? Or were they midwives? And then I'd like to know, if you had so many failed abortions in St. Louis and Missouri, how many of those babies survived? How many were given the care that they deserved? And how many of you murdered those babies? I have a lot of questions for Missouri and St. Louis, because evidently this is one of the worst abortion clinics, if there is a worst, because they're all terrible and need to be gone. But you know, as states across America pass laws restricting access to abortion, like Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Ohio. They're all passing these restrictive abortion laws, but not in Illinois. Illinois passed legislation this week declaring a pregnant woman has a fundamental right to terminate their pregnancy, and stated a fertilized egg, an embryo, or a fetus. My goodness, people, they won't even call it a preborn. Does not have independent rights. Well, I say they do have independent rights. They have rights from the moment of conception. They may be in your body, but they're not you. They are a unique life form made by God. And you have absolutely no right to murder anyone. If you murdered a one-day-old baby, you'd go to prison. But yet you can murder these babies right up until delivery in places like New York. Well, that should be no surprise to anybody. Hell, Cuomo lit up the Empire State Building in pink when they passed that law where they could abort babies right up until time of birth. This country is so sick, we're going down the pipe so fast. But this new law in Illinois rolls back some statewide restrictions on late-term abortions by repealing the Partial Birth Abortion Act. Just like I said, they're going to be murdering these babies willy-nilly left and right. And then you've got this Senator Melinda Bush, who is of course a demon rat. She said, we're not going back to coat hangers. We're not going back to die. She said, I'm proud to say Illinois is a beacon for women's rights. Well, I say that I'm proud of Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi, and all them other states who stand up for the preborn's rights. Representative Kelly Cassidy said, we can no longer rely on bad federal laws. To them, all of our federal laws that are pro-life, are bad. But Chicago has 2,695,598 black people living in Chicago. Well, there's 108 abortions in Illinois every day. So every year there are 250,000 aborted preborns in Illinois every year. This is the #1 state, people. This is the #1 state we need to rally against. But then again, you can take them, Illinois and New York, and you put them in a box and shake them up and set it on fire. But they'd survive because they get their power from the devil who rules hell. I want to jump over now for just a minute to Iran. The USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier has not yet entered the Persian Gulf. Our ships have sailed there for decades. But the USS Abraham Lincoln and the task force and the bomber task force that's with him have not went into the Persian Gulf. The reason is given as to why the Abraham Lincoln is holding back is over fears that the tension with Iran could boil over into war. That's why they're there, is to deter war. So I have no problem with them going into the Mediterranean and sitting out in the middle of the ocean there, waiting to go through the Strait of Hormuz into the Persian Gulf. But once you go into the Persian Gulf, they'll be in range of their missiles. And also, Iran is notorious for planting mines in the ocean. They are so adept at mining the ocean and the Straits of Hormuz that their mines will sit and hover just above the bottom of the ocean floor. And when a ship comes, it will magnetically rise and destroy the ship. They have over 6,000 of these that we know of, so if they only put half of that in the Strait of Hormuz, absolutely nothing would go through that strait. And I'm probably going to repeat myself as I read. The USA deployed a carrier strike force group, a bomber task force, and other military assets in the east. They sent them there in May in response to threats posed by Iran. The Strait of Hormuz is vitally strategic, the waterway where Iran speedboats routinely harass American ships. President Trump tweeted, "If Iran wants a fight, that will be the official end of Iran." Now, Iran's Ayatollah made a comment a couple of weeks ago that they had one missile that would destroy an entire fleet. I say that's posturing, people. I don't know if they have that capability or not. But if they do, they get it from Barack Hussein Barry Sotoros Obama. And speaking of Obama, Obama was never a president of the United States. He was never a legal citizen. His birth certificate had so many layers on it that it was evident that there were at least 9 different birth certificates made to compose his birth certificate. He was not born in the United States or anywhere around the United States. He is a Kenyan. He was born in Kenya, and then you have these elites. His father hated America, people, and so did Barack Hussein Obama. I don't know how he got all of his stuff done, but somebody took him under their wing and they hand-guided him through our citizenship. Of course, his birth certificate was a lie, but we accepted that. Well, not us patriots, but America in general, all the demon rats. But you know, I think Hussein's on his last leg. Because they were talking today on Judicial Watch. Tom Fenton was talking about how that email from Lisa Page to her lover Peter Strzok said that POTUS wants to know everything we're doing. And they're not going to let that email pass. People, I'm praying with all my heart, and I'm crossing my fingers and my toes, that somewhere before President Trump leaves office, we have Barry Sotoros, Barack Obama, Michelle, Hillary and Bill, and Chelsea Clinton, along with the Podesta brothers, and Huma Abedin, and Cheryl Mills, James Comey, John Baker, all of them, people. They all need to be behind bars, and they need to be behind bars today. Let's pray that President Trump's able to do something. They're not only guilty of corruption, they're pedophiles and pedivores. People, I know you think I'm crazy, but I believe with all of my heart that this group of people are satanic to the core. And child sacrifice is nothing to them. Because after they sacrifice these children, they devour them. They harvest their adrenochrome, said to be one of the highest highs you'll ever have. But you take it one time and you become immediately addicted. You'll never want to live without it again. But you know, President Trump, to get back on the topic, he said there's always a chance. He says, I don't want to go to war. No. I'd rather not. There's always a chance that we could talk. But like I said, 30% of the oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz. And this is 30% of the world oil. And they say that if they are shut down and not allowed to ship any oil through the Straits of Hormuz, that they will declare the strait closed and no oil will leave the Persian Gulf by any country or any entity, anywhere, anytime. So it looks to me like everybody's posturing, people. It's a little scary, but I'm not really that scared. I'm not worried about our ability to take Iran out. But I am worried about their ability to have a nuclear weapon. Because of Barack Hussein Barry Sotoros Obama, they had all those years, 8 years, And he gave them billions of dollars in cash so they could work on their nuclear programs. And we'll tell you right now, patriots, I believe with all my heart that Iran has a nuclear weapon. I believe they also have a means to deliver it. I think they're waiting for the proper time for them to use it. And if there's a shot fired between the United States and Iran, if they're inside the Persian Gulf, our ships are a prime target. So they're saying that one missile could take out an entire fleet. That worries me a little bit, people. I don't know if they're posturing or not. But I do know that President Trump will not stand by and let them attack us or our allies anywhere in the Persian Gulf or around the world. I pray for peace. But I also pray for strength. I pray for Donald Trump in the White House when he has to make a decision one day to declare war. And people, if he does, I'll support him. I don't believe Trump wants war. But sometimes war is inevitable. People, pray for our children. Pray for our president. And pray for our troops that could soon be in harm's way. People, pray for each other. Pray for these channels that we might grow and we could be a voice that's heard. Everybody, I appreciate your time. I went long today. But my name's Deplorable Bobby, and this is the way I see it. And y'all have a great day.